AK versus AR Part 5. Welcome, Nutnfancy, continuing on. And it seems like I always remember some stuff when I start a new part that I forgot to say in the previous part. Overall, on the weight issue, both guns weigh very similarly, if you ask me. I will stand by my assertion that there's some barrel and magazine and ammo advantages in the weight department for this gun, the AR-15. However, each one, depending on how you outfit them, can rapidly increase in weight. That Rock River Entry Tactical is sadly missing. That is wearing the EOTech sight, which is not a lightweight, about a 12-ounce sight, that one he has. And the Triple G Ford rail, and guess what? That gun weighs about 9.7 pounds. Not a lightweight. Now, in defense of it, it also wears a full profile barrel. Let's see, it's the R4 profile. Where is it? There it is, the one on the bottom. It's hard to see it through the viewfinder. You can see that's a full thickness barrel. It does have an M4 style cutout towards the front. However, under the handguard, almost a full inch thick, real heavy barrel. Love it. Same thing as that you saw in that bushy. And then the AK, that Arsenal AK there, is about 8.7 pounds, wearing that aim point and the Ultimac rail on the front gas tube. So yeah, both of them can gain pounds really easy depending on what you want to outfit them with. So watch that. I know a lot of guys get carried away on both systems. Next thing they know, they have a 12-pound gun they're porting around, and they just really didn't realize that the weight would add up so quickly. It does, and that's why you see me running a pretty pared-down AR. You know, something that's lightweight, easy to carry, unless I have a really good reason to tack something on it, and it's going to fulfill a need in my POU. Guess what? I ain't taking it along. It's got a. I'll talk more about that when I do some more AR vids, but I think you guys get the message here. But on to operation, and this is where the AK-47 actually starts pulling ahead of the AR-15. Bear with me, AR fans. You guys are like, what? The AR-15's a lot easier. Well, it depends on who you are, seriously. For a newer shooter or someone who's inexperienced, I disagree. I think the AK is an easier gun to teach someone how to shoot. It's just plain simple. I'm going to start off with how you manipulate the bolt. You basically just charge it back and let it go. Strip a cartridge off into the chamber as previously mentioned. Piece of cake. Not so simple to explain to a new shooter how the charging handle, if I can speak, interfaces with a bolt on the AR-15. Oh, and by the way, you got to explain to them that, yeah, if you have an empty magazine in, like I do now, it's going to catch and hold that bolt in the rearward position. To you and I, experienced shooters, this is very simple. We understand it. To a new shooter, someone who does not know guns, it perplexes them. They do not understand how I pull this charging handle back and I'm not in charge of this reciprocating piece of metal here. They don't understand it. It takes them a while to understand the manipulation of an AR bolt. That's just the way it is. This is directly connected to the bolt. Yes, it reciprocates back and forth during the firing sequence, but it's very simple, very easy to understand. And while the safety is not ergonomic by any means, that's just me, Nutnfancy. Again, it's simple to understand. Up means safe, down means fire. Most guys and gals will understand that and they can get it readily. The magazine insertion and extraction, again, not ergonomic, but fairly simple for people to pick up. And in fairness, so is the ARs. If actually it's as easy as the AKs. I'm just basically, when I say it's advantageous, the AK, talking about that bolt situation that I just explained to you. Now, it's more than just a controls operation when we're talking about firing these guns. One advantage of the AR-15 that I really believe in strongly is the ability for it to stay. I'm going to come off the tripod so you can see the whole guns. Is the ability for that gun to stay on target more easily than an AK. And this is from my own shooting experience. That AR-15, dude, you can rock and roll with that thing and pretty much stay right on target. That inline stock, the minimal recoil, the minimal amount of metal that is moving rearward in the design, the DI design, direct gas impingement, I like it. And it lends itself to a very fast and accurate gun. where you can get quick follow-up shots. How about the AK? Not so much. There's going to be more recoil from the 7.62 by 39, as you can see from my own videos that I've shown you. You can see the gun moving back and forth and providing a little bit more kick that you are going to have to deal with as a shooter. Moreover, you have that big old chunk of metal, the piston, moving back and forth. And so there is a lot going on in an AK-47 firing sequence that you, the shooter, are going to have to compensate for in order to connect with your target. That is an advantage AR, in my opinion. Easier to stay on target, quicker to shoot. Now, AK fans are probably livid. Oh, man, I can shoot a 100-round drum magazine into a dime at 100 yards as fast as I can pull the trigger. I highly doubt it. Every time I've seen an AK fire, it will come off target, generally speaking. Now, there has been some mitigation to that in subsequent variants, specifically the AKM, which I don't have here, but it wore that slanted muzzle device, which actually I understand is pretty effective in helping to control the recoil of the 7.62 by 39 round. And also the 74, actually the AK-74 break is actually a little bit different. So yeah, there's different ways to control it. I'm just talking generically. Advantage AR, truth be told. So operation, actually, if you spend an afternoon with an individual never having shot it, they'll get it. They do tend to understand the AK system simpler, and that's why you see it a favorite of bad guys around the world. Third world nations all over the globe prefer the AK-47. Cheap, reliable, effective, outstanding mud gun, and you know what? It has withstood the test of time, guys. So there's a lot to be said there, and it just basically verifies everything that I'm saying. How about accuracy, though? Hey, we're making some progress finally. These talking points. These ones, dude, there's so much to discuss on these first ones. Hopefully I can start cranking it out. Okay, accuracy, advantage AR, no doubt. Hey, dog, what are you doing over there? Huh? What are you doing? She is actually petitioning me right now. She's like, dude, enough of this videoing. Take me out running. Take me now. Love my dog. You're so sweet. Sorry, guys. Anyways, back to the AR-15. It is a more accurate platform. The cartridge is more accurate. Generally, if you're running a thicker profiled barrel, like I've shown you, you're going to achieve some really good accuracy, assuming a quality manufacturer ammunition. AK, not so much. Looser tolerances all through the gun, including the fire control group, the barrel interface to the bolt, and that lends itself to being extremely reliable, however, maybe not quite as accurate as AR-15. That is something you will see across the board, and most people will agree with this, and it's not that debatable. AR-15s are more accurate. Now, if you run something like this precision SPR type AR, that's my general term. Let me write that one right there. 20-inch barrel, free-floated, and air-gauged stainless steel barrel like LaRue makes. I mean, great stuff, by the way. That thing's going to be extremely accurate. Okay, so advantage AR by a wide margin. Let me caveat that. Maybe not wide, but by a substantial margin, it is a more accurate platform. Also contributing to that is, again, the nice sight design with AR and the simplicity to which we can add optics to the AR, just like this ML3 riding on the top of that one. Now, some variants, kind of like the Krebs, you have the same option as well. That brings us to accessories and versatility. I'm going to start off with versatility. The AR-15, dudes, is an extremely versatile weapon system. Let me clip this back in. Hang on. AR-15 owners will know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to versatility of the AR-15 weapon system. A lot of that is due to the fact that the lower receiver is considered the firearm. The upper portion can actually be quickly disconnected from any AR-15 by pushing out the receiver pins. One here, your pivot pin here. Remove both of those, and guess what? The entire upper half of the AR-15 comes off, and that means you can supplement it with something else. For instance, coming off the mothership tripod now, this carbine is set up for tactical carbine use. In my opinion, POU 300 meters or less. That's why it wears an unmagnified red dot sight. perfect for that POU. Super light, super fast into action, wearing only the minimal things that will help it in that role, including a light mount, light as possible. But what if you want to reach out to a target beyond 300 meters and you're willing to take upon some more weight? Well, maybe something like this LaRue would be more suitable. And guess what? That is an upper right there that you could detach and put on your AR-15 lower. And guys do that all the time. The AR-15 is extremely versatile, both in the swap out of barrel lengths, barrel types, handguard lengths. I mean, you can have 3 different receivers, upper receivers ready to rock and roll, and just one lower. And then as you see fit, and depending on what's going on that day, you too, military users, you can go ahead and swap it out to fit your POU or your mission capabilities that you'll need. Very, very cool. And I'm not even going into the caliber conversions that you can have with AR-15s. A lot of times that same lower can function with different calibers. And it's a very simple process to do the swap overs. That's a versatile platform. AK-47, still a great weapon system, however, not as versatile in that respect. Once you have a single caliber and a single way that the gun is put together, you're pretty much stuck with it, which is normal for most guns. Not a huge deal, but in comparison to the AR-15, yeah, not as versatile. Also, as previously discussed, or I think I mentioned it in some previous parts, are those handguards. That is a great versatility option for the AR-15. Readily available. In fact, many factory-made AR-15s indeed come with a free-floated handguard nowadays. It's almost becoming the standard. That's because it's so useful and so many users love it and the capabilities it gives them. Mount bipods, lights, vertical grips, lasers. You could strap your Pikachu on there. Don't know. Lots of capabilities. Again, I say, and this is an aside, I don't think every gun needs a free-float rail. If you ask me, it adds weight, just like I said with this Rock River, 9.7 pounds, and it adds a lot of cost. If you're going to buy it aftermarket and put it on yourself, around $200, probably more, that's a substantial increase in cost. And I don't think that the AR-15 needs it. As you can see, this one wears just a standard carbine forearm. So no problem with that at all. AK-47 can also do the same kind of things with certain modifications. Again, this Krebs AK, very good AK, Sega. So much stuff I'm stepping around. Great gun. And as you can see, it's got that full Picatinny rail on the back. I love that rail. And yeah, it can mimic the AR-15 perfectly with that rail. Mounting optics, just like that one, if you so desire. It has a quick release mechanism so we can lift that up. Access to field strip on the AK, which I'll talk about. And it's got a forend too, 3-rail Picatinny forend. So that adds some versatility for sure on the AK-47. But they're not all that way, and when they're not that way, you're going to have to come up with something creative to adjust for it. One way to do it is maybe, and this kind of gets in the versatility accessories department, is the Ultimac rail that this SLR 107 is wearing. That replaces the gas tube cover, if I'm not mistaken, and onto it you can attach your red dot sights. Ultra cool and useful. Now, I also spoke earlier about some limitations perhaps on the AK-47 sighting system, iron variety. There are other ways to help correct that situation, and one of them I just found out about from LaRue Tactical. It's the AK Iron Dot. Check this out. I can pretty much guarantee you this will be cool. It fits underneath your iron sight on the rear and gives you a mini red dot sight, thereby pretty much bypassing any of the slowness issues you might or might not have with AK-47 sights. And there's your introductory price as of the filming of this, February 2009. Subject to change. There's another picture of that vertical hand grip variety that I mentioned earlier. That's a good option though. So technology can add to the capabilities of your AK system. However, everything costs money, guys. No free lunch. So it's a matter of whether you have the money for it or not. In some ways, it almost makes more sense if it's important to you, to buy an AK-47 that's already outfitted with a lot of bells and whistles, kind of like this Krebs. You can see, and I've talked about the rail system. It also has a very interesting safety mechanism, which is actuated on the left side of the gun. How cool is this? And I could show you the interior workings of this, but I'm not going to spend the video time. But you can actuate the safety mechanism with a thumb, just like, an AR-15. So yeah, it's an AK-47 piston design gun mimicking an AR-15, but it has some advantages to it, and it has many of the same features. As far as stocks, grips, different muzzle devices go, I will call it a draw between the two designs. As far as accessories go, there's a lot out there. You can dress up your gun however you want. Maybe getting into the second kind of cool. Guys, want that. And, that's important to them. Look it out. Search it out. There's lots of places you can find these accessories. I tend to not put it on my guns unless it adds capability. Let's take, for instance, the Phantom flash suppressor. One of my favorites. I like it because it has scalloped edges for possible C2B use. It also functions as an excellent flash suppressor, mitigating flash, even with commercial propellants. I know this from my own testing. Great, I love it. And it looks cool, and sometimes looking cool is more than just looking cool. It might be kind of a way to scare off bad guys in a WRL situation, for instance. By the way, sadly, Missy wanted me to tell you that basically every AK owner should have a Tapco G2 trigger system installed, and also on the interior a trigger plate that replaces the shepherd's hook. I'm not going to pop this up and take time to show you, but basically there is a wire that winds its way through the fire control group that helps retain the receiver pins, and it's a mother to get back in if you take the gun apart. The trigger plate, also available from Tapco and other sources, replaces that, and my understanding it's a lot easier to take in and out of the gun. So G2 trigger plate, great accessories for your AK-47. They won't break the bank either. For my money, if I had an AK, I would definitely put those two in it, and I'd also, if it didn't wear a rail, i.e. it wasn't a Krebs, or I didn't spend the money on the Krebs, you can outfit, by the way, this top Picatinny rail from KCI to other AKs. I think you need a stamped receiver to do it. I could be wrong on that. It's expensive though. We'll go to their website and you can check it out. If I didn't do that, I would do exactly the same thing this AK has and do that Ultimac rail on there. Love that rail. And I think with a red dot sight, the forward-mounted red dot, the forward-mounted Picatinny rail with a red dot sight on it is outstanding. It gives you good field of view, quick presentation, great system. I already showed you that, and I'm kind of going into my next talking point, optics here. I already showed you that one optical thing, the little red dot from LaRue that you can run on your AKs as well. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. If it's really important, I'll annotate it. Suffice it to say, tons of accessories. And the AR-15, I could spend and probably will spend more video time explaining those. And the ones that I personally think are helpful, and there's a lot of stuff out there that I don't think is definitely not worth the money and just complicates an otherwise pretty solid weapon system. So be careful what you throw on there. Unless, of course, it's a second kind of cool for you and you just dig it. So optics, it's much easier to install on an AR-15, like I said, especially an A4 version that has the built-in flat top. Real easy to put those on. AK, already talked about that. How's the value between the two guns? Once upon a time, I would have said advantage AK in a big way. That the AK represented a lot more value, a lot more not capabilities, but a lot more gun for the money. Pretty much with everything that's been going on lately, and this may change, I doubt it though, they're pretty much on par. An AK will cost you about the same as an AR-15, give or take some, and no, I'm not even going to throw a dollar figure out there because it varies so much market to market. But I truly believe that the days are gone, probably forever, where you can go out and buy an SLR 95 for $289. Oh, and by the way, I had the option to do that one day. Totally didn't do it. Wish I had. Yeah, I'm kicking myself ever since then. I was like, AK, I don't know. Should I get it? I was really digging it. Second kind of cool. It'd just be fun to have. And let me speak to that. Between the two guns, fun factor, I love shooting that AK. It is such a fun gun to shoot. I love the sound of it. I love the extra recoil when I'm talking about recreational shooting. It's fun. I love AKs a little bit more than I do AR-15. Sorry. Both are fun, but man, AKs are just a blast to shoot. No pun intended. I really wish I had bought that, but I didn't. Now, let me add this too. I meant to say this in earlier parts. A lot of you guys are going to be tight on money. You're not going to be able to perhaps afford both types of guns in your system. And that's fine. I think that's most users will fall into that category. Also, you Leo types, departmentally, there's no way you're going to go with an AR and an AK-47 system. Your armorer will be cussing you. It's just too much hassle to try to maintain both. Unless, of course, you're with a very small department and they say, you know what, go buy your own gun, and as long as it's on this approved list, rock and roll, that's a different situation. That's not a departmental gun. That's a personal gun you're using for duty use. And I could see that. For most of us, though, you're going to have to make a decision between the two systems. I think this is mostly a good thing. Again, back to my philosophy on systems, guys. If I have an AR-15, if I have an AK, both of them in my system, guess what? Now I have to have two sets of magazines. I have to have two different calibers, two different sets of backup parts. The handguards are different. There's nothing interchangeable, generally speaking, between the two. It's a complicated deal. And it's going to basically double or triple the amount of money that you're going to have to make for your weaponry situation. I would choose one or the other. And either one, like I said on part 1 of this video, will work just fine for pretty much every user. Yes, there's some advantages to the AR. There are some advantages to the AK. But both of them have a very solid reputation. And we're moving on, by the way, to track record. Guess what? Final part. Both have a great reputation for what they've done around the world. In the United States military, the M16, M4 series has served well. Yes, there's been rumors of big problems over in the desert. I think they're overblown myself. If they weren't, then why would the troops continually come back with glowing reports of their M4s? They love them. Now, another problem the M4 might have over in use, I already talked about the ballistic problem and the velocity threshold in order to get stopping power out of the 5.56 round. But I'm not so sure, and Ruggedness talked to me about this, and I think he's right, that the U.S. military really keeps track on what's going on every gun internally. I mean, you might have M4s out there that have shot 20,000 rounds with no inspections, very little lubrication. I hope that's not the case. But if that's going on, no wonder you're having failures. It's a system, like I said in the previous parts, you got to keep your eye on. AK, not so much. I mean, it's a lot tougher, a lot more durable. It's just going to last, and it's a lot less finicky in that regard. But choose one or the other. Don't look back. It's probably a good choice, and probably your personal preference is going to drive it more than anything. That you perhaps just dig the AR-15, you just dig the AK, and it's cool, and dudes, there's nothing wrong with that. Track record, actually, if I have to make a call, I'm going to give advantage AK-47 just because it has been used to such great effect. Yes, I'm sorry, but normally by bad guys around the world, but we're talking about the gun and not the politics. Very effective and very tough and reliable. Value is a draw. There you have it. AK versus AR-15. Bottom line, guys, yes, I prefer the AR-15 for everything I've told you. It is more weight efficient, it's more accurate, better long-range capability. I can up the ballistic effectiveness with it by going to different rounds or different calibers if I want to. Much more ergonomic, safety, magazine release. It has a bolt hold open device, usually an adjustable stock. A rail system, if I want to, is very easy to add without adding a lot of weight. An awesome system. AK, though, it's the ultimate mud gun for austere conditions where you're not going to have lubrication, you're not going to have the chance to baby your rifle day after day, week after week, month after month, or maybe you're just going to bury it somewhere and dig it up someday and you need it to work. AK wins. Nutnfancy, I'm exhausted. This is a lot of work putting this together. I hope you guys appreciate it. Sorry if I don't put all the details in there. you can see I put them pretty much as best as I could. Thanks for tuning in, the good ratings and the support. I totally need it in the Nutnfancy project. I never take it for granted either. I'm going to take a rest. Peace.